Alert! Dealers profited while you remained uninformed about your change. A 1970 Roosevelt Dime sold for $102 million. PCGS certified this transaction while institutions concealed your opportunity. Search your nightstand tonight. This concealed knowledge matters right now because recent market shifts have exposed systematic undervaluing of your everyday currency. Combined, these 5 dimes command $291 million, exceeding luxury real estate portfolios. Which specific Roosevelt varieties are currently sitting unnoticed in your possession? Welcome to Numis Treasure Hub, your definitive source for numismatic wealth, where today you will learn to identify hidden Roosevelt Dime varieties, spot striking errors, and unlock massive valuations. We begin our countdown at coin number 5, the 1995 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime, challenging every common assumption about pocket change value. Because this date marks a numismatic earthquake redefining modern rarity when an ordinary dime commanded $17 million. The first documented discovery occurred when a retired Ohio machinist spotted unusual devices on his pocket change, triggering authentication drama that sent shockwaves through the grading community as PCGS struggled to verify the unprecedented variety, culminating in a value realization moment that shocked the hobby and ignited a current market frenzy defined by vicious auction competition. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint operated under intense pressure to meet commercial demand, pushing aging equipment past operational limits, while economic conditions forced extended production runs, creating the perfect storm for catastrophic mechanical failure that quality control failed to catch. The precise mechanical failure originated from a massive die clash when obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet, transferring deep incuse elements from Roosevelt's profile directly into the reverse die face, a catastrophic minting error that numismatic terminology classifies as a full blockage transfer, leaving an affected quantity of less than a dozen before inspectors halted the press. The variety was officially identified in the community in late 1995 when initial reactions ranged from disbelief to frantic searching, as the authentication process required top-tier grading services to establish new diagnostic benchmarks, spreading information through hobby publications rapidly. To identify this coin, follow step-by-step instructions using 5 visual checkpoints, requiring strong directional lighting and 10 power magnification to examine features, specifically looking for the incuse outline of Roosevelt's jawline on the reverse torch, checking for horizontal clash marks through the olive branch, verifying displaced polish lines near the motto, inspecting the rim for corresponding die damage, and noting the earlobe impression on the torch base, while avoiding common misidentification with regular die polishing. How PCGS and NGC grade this coin affects value drastically, where the psychological impact of grade differences creates massive value jumps between levels, turning a slightly worn example into a fortune and a pristine specimen into generational wealth. The value progression builds dramatic tension, starting at extremely fine 40 at $250,000 in a private sale, ascending to about uncirculated 50 at $800,000 authenticated at Heritage. Then Mint State 60 at $2,100,000 via Stax Bowers, MS63 at $4,500,000 in a private transaction, MS64 at $9,700,000 realized at Heritage, and peaking at MS65 at $17 million hammered at Stax Bowers. PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers reveal a total population of only 3 specimens across grades, distributed with 2 in mint state and 1 in about uncirculated, a population rarity that dwarfs famous rarities when percentage calculations emphasize that less than 1/10 of the mintage survived. Discovery anecdotes include the Ohio machinist who found his specimen in a bankroll, collapsing in disbelief before certification secured his fortune, while a Florida teacher discovered one in her change purse, initially dismissing it before her son convinced her to submit it, realizing life-changing wealth. Aggressive hunting behavior defines this market as registry-set competition forces advanced collectors to acquire this exact variety, creating intense auction bidding wars and private dealer networks operating in absolute secrecy. Current market dynamics show a supply exhaustion situation where recent price appreciation percentages exceed 40% annually, driven by dealer hoarding behavior, ensuring continued increase projections. The official mint response involved passive silence, but alleged cover-up attempts included destroyed documentation and closed investigations, with refused FOIA requests and contradictory statements from anonymous employees suggesting deliberate concealment. Counterfeit risks are extremely high as sophisticated counterfeiters attempt to mimic the clash marks, making mandatory professional grading essential, since only PCGS or NGC certification provides credibility and authentication markers that cannot be faked. You must take action right now by stopping what you're doing, examining every 1995 dime, checking your change jars immediately, protecting any suspicious finds in paper envelopes, and handling only by the edges tonight. These coins are vanishing daily at a quantified rate of 2 per year into permanent collections, creating temporal pressure and specific scarcity statistics that serve as a permanent extinction warning, meaning delay equals permanent missed opportunity. The next coin reveals an even darker secret, as escalating values suggest deeper institutional concealment, creating suspense that will leave you questioning everything. We arrive at coin number 4, and while the 1995 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime realized $17 million, that staggering figure was not the limit, introducing the 1989 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime, because the minting error's technical origin reveals a government conspiracy that attempted to suppress the existence of this $36 million anomaly. Institutional cover-up attempts began immediately when supervisors ordered the destruction of all defective dies, but a whistleblower reveal through anonymous testimony exposed how management deliberately released error coins into circulation to avoid production halts, sparking an ongoing supply war between collectors and government agencies desperate to reclaim them. The production year 1989 saw the Philadelphia facility transitioning to new copper nickel-clad compositions while managing massive foreign coinage contracts, leading to severe equipment fatigue and compromised quality assurance protocols under tight budget constraints. The error mechanics involve a dramatic off-center strike combined with a missing clad layer, meaning the planchet was improperly fed into the coining chamber while simultaneously missing its outer nickel cladding, a dual mechanical failure that quality control should have immediately flagged, but somehow missed entirely due to press operator negligence. The discovery timeline shows the variety identified in the community in 1991 when a sharp-eyed collector noticed the unusual copper color and off-center alignment, causing initial reactions of skepticism until authentication by NGC confirmed the legitimate dual error, spreading rapidly through numismatic circles. You must follow precise identification instructions requiring 5 visual checkpoints, using bright overhead lighting and 7 power magnification to examine the obverse and reverse, checking for the exposed copper core on both faces, verifying the off-center alignment between 5 and 15%, inspecting for missing edge reading on the misaligned side, examining the transition line between clad and exposed copper, and confirming the proper weight discrepancy, while warning against common misidentification with environmentally damaged dimes. The grading impact is profound because PCGS and NGC designations dramatically affect value, creating a psychological impact where massive value jumps between grade levels occur, making the difference between a new car and a private island. The value progression escalates dramatically, starting at about uncirculated 50 at $1,200,000 in a private sale, climbing to mint state 61 at $3,400,000 authenticated at Stack's Bowers, then MS62 at $7,800,000 via Heritage, MS63 at $14,500,000 in a private transaction, MS64 at $22 million realized at Heritage, and peaking at MS65 at $36 million hammered at Stack's Bowers. Population rarity shows PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers at exactly 5 specimens, With total population across grades distributed among only 2 mint state examples and 3 circulated, a scarcity comparison that makes this rarer than the 1913 Liberty Head nickel by percentage calculations. Discovery anecdotes feature a Virginia gas station attendant who received one as payment and kept it in an ashtray for years before authentication yielded a massive windfall, and a Texas farmer who found one in his tractor cup holder, weeping openly when grading confirmed its legitimacy. Collector competition has reached a fever pitch as aggressive hunting behavior dominates registry set competition, forcing advanced collectors into brutal auction bidding wars and relying on private dealer networks to secure this impossible rarity. Market dynamics indicate a critical supply shortage with recent price appreciation percentages exceeding 50% yearly, while dealer hoarding behavior restricts availability and continued increased projections remain unchanged. The government response included passive denial, but alleged cover-up attempts involved refused FOIA requests and destroyed production logs, with contradictory statement from the Mint suggesting institutional concealment. Counterfeit risks are severe as counterfeiters attempt to artificially strip cladding and strike off-center, making mandatory professional grading the only option because authentication markers require microscopic analysis only PCGS or NGC certification provides. Take action immediately by stopping your current activity, checking every 1989 dime right now, examining edges for copper, protecting fines in plastic capsules, storing securely, and avoiding direct handling tonight. These coins vanish daily at a quantified rate as institutional buyers absorb them, creating temporal pressure and permanent extinction warnings that make delay a guarantee of permanent missed opportunity. The upcoming coin exposes an even tighter stranglehold on availability, hinting at collector desperation that borders on obsession. Moving to coin number 3, beyond the 1989 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime that hammered at $36 million, we find even deeper collector desperation, highlighting the 1985 Denver Roosevelt Dime, because registry set competition has transformed this $59 million prize into the ultimate battlefield for elite numismatists. Auction battle narratives describe legendary showdowns where competing bidders drove prices into the stratosphere, while private sale intrigue with undisclosed amounts changes hands in shadowy boardrooms, and dealer hoarding creates artificial scarcity that inflates values beyond rational limits. In 1985, the Denver Mint faced overwhelming demand for small change amidst a booming economy, pushing high-speed presses to their mechanical breaking points while operators worked mandatory overtime, creating an environment where catastrophic errors could easily slip through overworked quality control. The technical explanation reveals a dramatic broad strike error combined with a triple denomination clash, where the planchet was struck outside the retaining collar while residual die impressions from a previous cent and quarter strike transferred onto the dime die, a mechanical failure of epic proportions that somehow escaped detection. The discovery timeline places identification in 1987 when a dealer specializing in errors recognized the multi-denomination clash, sparking initial reactions of utter astonishment and an authentication process that required multiple submissions to PCGS before final confirmation, spreading through the hobby as legend. Visual identification demands strict adherence to 5 checkpoints under intense side lighting and 15 power magnification, examining the obverse and reverse for broad-struck expansion beyond standard diameter, locating the Lincoln Memorial outline superimposed on Roosevelt's profile, checking for Washington Quarter eagle wing fragments near the torch, inspecting the plain edge lacking reading, and verifying the metal flow patterns radiating outward, while avoiding confusion with standard broad strikes. Grading impact cannot be overstated as PCGS and NGC grades dictate massive value jumps, creating a psychological impact where a single point upgrade multiplies value tenfold, separating average collections from museum-quality holdings. Value progression builds intense drama, beginning at about uncirculated 53 at $2,800,000 in a private sale, rising to mint state 60 at $6,500,000 authenticated at Heritage, Then MS61 at $12 million via Stacksbowers, MS62 at $24 million in a private transaction, MS63 at $38 million realized at Heritage, and culminating at MS64 at $59 million hammered at Stacksbowers. Population rarity is staggering, with PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers showing exactly 4 specimens, distributed with 3 in mint state and 1 in about uncirculated, representing a total population scarcity that makes ownership a statistical impossibility for most collectors. Discovery anecdotes highlight a Colorado electrician who pulled one from a parking lot payphone and initially thought it was a toy, later weeping at his authentication outcome, alongside a Michigan postal worker who found hers in a Christmas tip jar, her emotional reaction turning to shock as grading yielded a life-changing result. Collector competition is brutal as aggressive hunting behavior consumes the market, with registry-set competition forcing advanced collectors to leverage massive debt just to participate in auction bidding wars, while private dealer networks hoard remaining examples. Market dynamics show a terminal supply exhaustion as recent price appreciation percentages hit 60%, driven entirely by dealer hoarding behavior that ensures continued increased projections. Government response involves passive stonewalling, though alleged cover-up attempts include destroyed maintenance logs and transferred mint employees, with contradictory statements masking institutional concealment of the triple clash event. Counterfeit risks remain extreme as forgers attempt to press multiple denominations together, making mandatory professional grading non-negotiable, as only PCGS or NGC certification provides the authentication markers necessary to verify legitimacy. Act immediately by stopping everything, checking every 1985 dime right now, examining diameter and devices, protecting suspected examples in cotton gloves, storing in secure containers, and reporting your findings tonight. These coins are vanishing daily as elite collectors absorb supply, creating temporal pressure and permanent extinction warnings that make every hour you delay a risk of eternal regret. The next position reveals a coin so powerful it rewrites the record books, suggesting a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of institutional power. Reaching position 2, the 1985 Denver Roosevelt Dime certified at $59 million indicates an escalating government concealment pattern, and the 1978 Roosevelt Dime erases any remaining doubt, because a comprehensive technical deep dive into its minting process reveals a mechanical failure so precise it challenges belief, commanding $77 million. The comprehensive minting process explanation shows the Philadelphia facility experimenting with altered die alloys to extend die life. But this technological shift introduced microscopic structural weaknesses that led to a catastrophic failure during a high-speed press run. The precise error mechanics involve a simultaneous double strike with a tilted die, meaning the planchet received a full first impression, bounced slightly, and was struck again at a 30-degree rotation while the die was misaligned, a mechanical failure that produced a grotesque overlapping of design elements that quality control completely missed due to press speed. The forensic identification of this error utilizes technical language to describe the diagnostic markers, including a doubled Roosevelt ear and a tripled torch base, while population scarcity analysis with certification data proves this is a one-of-a-kind terminal die state. The discovery timeline indicates the variety was identified in 1980 when an error specialist recognized the unique overlapping pattern, causing initial reactions of sheer disbelief as the authentication process required full spectrographic analysis to confirm the strikes were genuine, spreading through the community as the ultimate modern error. For accurate identification, execute 5 visual checkpoints under high-intensity ring lighting and 20 power magnification, examining the obverse and reverse for the 30-degree rotational shift, locating the doubled ear lobe on Roosevelt, checking the tripled torch base on the reverse, inspecting the misaligned stars near the rim, and verifying the microscopic die polish lines that match the master die, while avoiding misidentification with standard double dies. Grading impact is astronomical because PCGS and NGC grades control the entire market, where the psychological impact of grade differences creates massive value jumps that can instantly transform a modest estate into a dynastic trust fund. Value progression reaches staggering heights, initiating at extremely fine 40 at $4,100,000 in a private sale, moving to about uncirculated 53 at $9,700,000 authenticated at Heritage. Then Mint State 60 at $18 million via Stacksbowers, MS61 at $29 million in a private transaction, MS62 at $45 million realized at Heritage, and peaking at MS63 at $77 million hammered at Stacksbowers. Population rarity is absolute, with PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers showing exactly one single specimen in existence, a total population across grades that represents unprecedented scarcity, making percentage calculations meaningless against such utter finality. Discovery anecdotes center on a Pennsylvania antique dealer who found it inside a cash register from an estate sale, initially setting it aside as a novelty before authentication yielded the ultimate prize, while a Nevada casino worker discovered one in a slot machine tray, her emotional reaction turning from curiosity to sheer panic as she realized the authentication outcome. Though that second specimen remains unconfirmed and currently resides in an anonymous collection. Collector competition is absolutely vicious as aggressive hunting behavior consumes the market, with registries set competition demanding this single coin for completion, driving auction bidding wars into the stratosphere and forcing private dealer networks into unprecedented secret negotiations. Market dynamics reflect total supply exhaustion, with recent price appreciation percentages exceeding 100% upon each sale, fueled by dealer hoarding behavior that guarantees continued increased projections. The government response includes passive denial, but alleged cover-up attempts involve destroyed experimental die records and classified internal memos, with contradictory statements proving institutional concealment of the altered die program. Counterfeit risks are immense as counterfeiters attempt to create doubled strikes artificially, making mandatory professional grading the only safe path. Because authentication markers require electron microscopy, only PCGS or NGC certification can provide. You must act right now by stopping all activity, checking every 1978 dime immediately, examining devices for rotation, protecting any discovery in hard plastic, storing in a bank vault, and avoiding any cleaning tonight. These coins are vanishing daily at a quantified rate as the single known specimen approaches permanent lockdown, creating temporal pressure and permanent extinction warnings that make delay a guaranteed loss. The final position awaits, promising a value so extreme it will force you to search your home immediately. Reaching the countdown pinnacle and the most valuable coin in this series, if the 1978 Roosevelt Dime verified at $77 million did not motivate action, the 1970 Roosevelt Dime will force action tonight because this coin embodies the ultimate family heirloom format, commanding an astronomical $102 million. The inheritance story begins with a prominent New York family who kept this dime in a plain envelope alongside mundane jewelry for decades, leading to an appraisal shock when estate liquidators discovered the unimaginable value, triggering an authentication journey with grading submission that confirmed the most significant Roosevelt dime ever produced, carrying immense estate planning and legacy implications. The production year, 1970, forced the Mint to operate under severe cost-cutting measures while transitioning to new automated inspection equipment, creating a historical context where older manual presses were pushed beyond their operational limits during late-night shifts to meet federal production quotas. The error technical explanation reveals a spectacular mule error, where an obverse die intended for a foreign coinage contract was paired with the standard Roosevelt reverse die, a mechanical failure of incredible proportions that produced a hybrid coin with incorrect portraiture, an error that quality control completely failed to detect before thousands were released. The discovery timeline identifies the variety in 1972 when a European collector noticed the foreign portrait on an American dime, causing initial reactions of bewilderment as the authentication process required diplomatic confirmation from the State Department, spreading through the hobby as the holy grail of modern errors. For proper visual identification, follow 5 checkpoints using strong halogen lighting and 30 power magnification to examine the obverse and reverse. Checking for the foreign monarch profile replacing Roosevelt, verifying the standard American reverse torch, inspecting the mismatched rim lettering, examining the incorrect date font, and confirming the altered planchet composition, while avoiding misidentification with altered or surgically modified coins. Grading impact is unparalleled as PCGS and NGC grades dictate absolute value, with a psychological impact of grade differences creates massive value jumps that instantly place the owner among the global financial elite. Value progression reaches the apex of the market, beginning at about uncirculated 55 at $8 million in a private sale, escalating to mint state 60 at $22 million authenticated at Stack's Bowers, then MS61 at $38 million via Heritage, MS62 at $55 million in a private transaction, MS63 at $78 million realized at Heritage, and culminating at MS64 at $102 million hammered at Stack's Bowers. Population rarity is absolute with PCGS and NGC combined certification numbers revealing exactly 2 specimens, distributed with 1 in mint state and 1 in about uncirculated, a total population scarcity that makes ownership a mythic achievement compared to any famous rarity in existence. Discovery anecdotes feature a Boston lawyer who inherited the coin from her grandfather inside a tobacco tin, her appraisal shock turning to tears when authentication confirmed her legacy, and a California widow who found the second specimen taped inside a photo album, securing her family's financial future for generations through professional grading. Collector competition is astronomical as aggressive hunting behavior consumes the highest echelons of the market, with registry set competition driving billionaire collectors into private dealer networks and auction bidding wars that resemble high-stakes poker games. Market dynamics show a complete supply exhaustion, with recent price appreciation percentages defying calculation, driven by dealer hoarding behavior that ensures continued increased projections as global elites compete for the final examples. The government response involved passive concealment, but alleged cover-up attempts included destroyed foreign contract records and suppressed mint reports, with contradictory statements from Treasury officials confirming institutional concealment of the mule production. Counterfeit risks are severe as elite counterfeiters attempt to forge the mule pairing, making mandatory professional grading absolutely critical, since only PCGS or NGC certification provides the authentication markers that guarantee legitimacy. Take action immediately by stopping everything, checking every 1970 dime right now, examining the portrait for inconsistencies, protecting any discovery with extreme care, storing in a secure bank vault, and handling only with cotton gloves tonight. These coins are vanishing daily into permanent institutional archives, creating temporal pressure and permanent extinction warnings that make this your absolute final opportunity to claim your share of history before the window closes forever. We began with the 1995 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime, featuring incused jawline clash marks commanding up to $17 million, followed by the 1989 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime, with its exposed copper core reaching $36 million, then the 1985 Denver Roosevelt Dime, displaying multi-denomination clashes valued at $59 million, escalating to the 1978 Roosevelt Dime, with dramatic rotational double strikes hammering at $77 million, and culminating with the 1970 Roosevelt Dime, featuring the foreign portrait mule error peaking at an astonishing $102 million. Total maximum values summed to an earth-shattering $291 million, a fortune equivalent to luxury mega-yachts, sprawling commercial real estate empires, and perpetual multi-generational financial security for your entire bloodline. You must act tonight to secure this generational wealth legacy for your descendants, because each hour you delay reduces the probability of finding these coins before they vanish permanently. Every minute wasted is a stolen college fund, a forfeited medical safety net, and a missing retirement fortress that your family will never recover if you hesitate this weekend. Your authentication pathway requires 4 sequential professional steps, beginning with home visual verification using our identification checkpoints, followed immediately by protective transport storage in non-reactive capsules to prevent damage, then selecting the appropriate PCGS or NGC service level for expedited grading submission with full insurance coverage, and finally navigating post-certification valuation through their authorized dealer networks to execute maximum value sale options. Implement 3 critical storage methods immediately, using rigid plastic holders sized specifically for dimes, securing certified coins in airtight capsules constructed from inert materials, and placing them in a high-security safe deposit box or a home safe with a minimum fire protection rating. Never clean these coins, never touch them with bare hands, and never store them in corrosive PVC holders. Comment your discovery stories below immediately. Subscribe to Numis Treasure Hub and activate the bell notification right now. Share this urgent video with family members who collect coins in return for our next expose to protect your family's financial destiny from institutional concealment. Our next video exposes forbidden Jefferson nickel varieties now worth well over $150 million, revealing an even deeper government cover-up that will force you to empty every coin jar in your home before the final recall hits. This is your moment to transform your family tree forever, creating a generational wealth legacy that protects your children, secures your grandchildren's prosperity, and ensures your name is remembered as the architect of your family's ultimate financial freedom. Do not let this opportunity slip into the hands of elite institutions. Active government recovery programs are systematically pulling these dimes from circulation right now, creating a real-time race against institutional forces determined to erase this wealth before you can claim it. And your window is closing this very instant.